Joe Biden is set to name a man who once described Brexit as a total mess as his new Secretary of State when he enters the White House. President-elect Mr. Biden will name Antony Blinken as Secretary of State as early as Tuesday, according to U.S. sources. Mr. Blinken is a longtime Mr. Biden confidant who served as number 2 at the State Department and as Deputy National Security Advisor in President Barack Obama's administration, in which the president-elect served as vice president, but the appointment may not be good news for the UK as Mr. Blinken once described Britain's decision to exit the EU as a total mess, and compared it to far-right Marine Le Pen's rise in France. Speaking on the Pod Save the World podcast, Mr. Blinken previously described the UK's handling of Brexit as the dog that caught the car and then the car goes into reverse and runs over the dog. It's a total mess. He said, our interests would have been in keeping Britain in, Mr. Blinken said, so many young Brits who feel like they had the rug pulled out from under them. He also said Britain's exit from the bloc would mean maintaining peace in Northern Ireland would be a heck of a lot tougher. He also waded into the row over Prime Minister Boris Johnson's UK Internal Market Bill, throwing his weight behind Mr. Biden, who warned the UK it must honour the Northern Irish peace deal as it extracts itself from the EU or there would be no US trade deal. Mr. Blinken tweeted at the time, Joe Biden is committed to preserving the hard-earned peace and stability in Northern Ireland. As the UK and EU work out their relationship, any arrangements must protect the Good Friday Agreement and prevent the return of a hard border. Mr. Blinken, 58, has long touted the view that the US needs to take an active leadership role in the world, engaging with allies, or see that role filled by countries like China with contrary interests. He previously said, as much of a burden as it sometimes seems to play, the alternative in terms of our interests and the lives of Americans are much worse. People familiar with his management style describe Mr. Blinken as a diplomat's diplomat, deliberative and relatively soft-spoken, but well-versed in the nuts and bolts of foreign policy. But Mr. Johnson has vowed his government will have close ties with the U.S. under President-elect Mr. Biden, sharing an interest in tackling climate change among other issues.